Hallelujah. Amen.
Father God in heaven, we thank you and we bless you for this hour of the preached word. We thank you, Lord, for the service that has already gone before. We thank you for the songs that have been sung, the prayers that have been offered. We thank you for your word. We pray now, Master, as we move into the hour of the preached word, that you will continue to be with us, open our eyes, our ears, our hearts, and let us receive your word. We thank you in advance for what you're going to do. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Our soul says, amen. Amen. You heard our scripture reading earlier. It's taken from the book of Exodus, the 33rd chapter, verses 12 through 17. It was read out of the New International Version of the Bible. We invite you, amen. We invite you to stand and be reverent for the reading of God's word one more time. Exodus chapter 33, beginning at verse 12. Exodus chapter 33, beginning at verse 12. You have it, say amen.
Amen.
Hold up.
Amen.
I hear the pages. In the New International Version of the Bible, it reads, Moses said to the Lord, you have been telling me, lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. You have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people. The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Then Moses said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you're pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing you have asked, because I'm pleased with you, and I know you by name. Amen. And I want to use for just a few minutes, does God know your name? Does God know your name? Last Sunday, after church, Pam and I went to dinner with Imani and Sharon and Mother Moss. And as we sat there waiting on our food, we heard the news out of L.A. that shocked the world. Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi and 7 others were killed in a helicopter crash. Like many others, I didn't believe it right away. It was too surreal. But now it started flashing on the television monitors in the restaurant. Imani checked her cell phone and found confirming reports on the internet that Kobe Bryant and Gigi and 7 others died in a helicopter crash. The news was stunning. Not Kobe. Not the Black Mamba. This brother was still in the prime of his life. Only 41 years old. But report after report came flooding in. Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter Gigi and 7 others were killed in a helicopter accident. It was hard to believe. And throughout the week, the news report would churn out new tidbits about the crash, the weather conditions, the capability of the helicopter pilot, the type of helicopter, the features that it had and did not have. But with every report, you first heard that Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi and 7 others were killed. By Tuesday, I went beyond grief to annoyance. I know that Kobe was a professional basketball legend. I knew that he went directly from high school to the NBA. I knew that he had won 5 NBA championships with the Lakers in his 20-year career, strictly with the Lakers. I knew that he had won 3 in a row when he had Shaq as the starting center. I knew that he was considered by many as the greatest baller to ever play the game. And so it made sense to me that the media and the world mourned this great basketball player and the untimely death of his 13-year-old daughter. But I was very annoyed that the other 7 persons on that fatal helicopter flight did not have their names called.
Come on now.
Jesus.
Report after report
Yeah.
said Kobe Bryant and Gigi
Jesus.
and 7 others were killed in a helicopter accident. Weren't the lives of the other 7 also important?
That's right.
Amen.
Did not their lives have value?
Yes, Jesus.
Didn't they have surviving family and friends?
Amen.
Who were these unnamed 7 others?
Jesus.
Could one have been my cousin? Could one of the 7 have been one of your classmates? Were they not worthy of being called by name? This made me think about the mentality of man. How we are quick to heap honor on the rich and the famous. And just as quick to ignore the plight of the common man. But I'm glad this morning that our God is not like that.
Thank you, Jesus.
Our God is not a respecter of persons.
That's right.
He loves the rich and the poor, the lofty and the lowly, the Jew and the Greek, the black and the white, the gay and the straight. And if you are one of his, that is, if you walk with him, if you talk with him, if you live a life according to his design for you, guess what? He knows your name.
Amen. Your name.
And as long as God knows your name, nothing else matters. Moses reminds us of this in this text. Here he has been walking with God for some time. You know his story. When the Egyptian Pharaoh declared that all Hebrew baby boys would be killed. His mama hid him away in a basket, put him on the Nile River near where Pharaoh's daughter would take a bath. And when she found him, she claimed him as her own, took him on into the Egyptian palace and raised him as an Egyptian prince. He stayed there for 40 years in the court. At the age of 40, however, he slew one of those Egyptian overseers who was beating on a Hebrew slave. And he was forced to flee Egypt and go to the land of the Midians. He sojourned there, and that's where he met Jethro, a Midianite priest. Moses married Jethro's daughter, raised a family, and became a shepherd, and got familiar with the desert over there in the Sinai Peninsula. For 40 years, Moses was in the land of Midian before he received his call to the ministry. He was told by God to go back to Egypt and to tell Pharaoh to let his people go.
Yes, Jesus.
At this point, Moses has been walking with God for 80 years. And God has been preparing him for a great work as a leader and as a shepherd for his people Israel. Obedient to the call. We got to be obedient, brother. Obedient to the call. Moses goes back to Egypt and leads God's people, over 1 million folk, leads them out of Egypt. And when Pharaoh changes his mind and pursues them, Moses stretches out his staff, and the Reed Sea opens up, and the Israelites walk over on dry land. And when Pharaoh's army tried to challenge them and change them and bring them back, Moses stretched out the rod, and the sea closed back up. And Pharaoh's army got drowned. Moses leads God's people to Mount Sinai, where God makes his covenant with them and gives them the 10 commandments. It is here where Moses goes up to the mountain to commune with God for 40 days and for 40 nights. And when he returns, he finds the people could not wait on him and the God that delivered them.
Jesus.
Yes.
They had Aaron make them a god out of gold. Seeing God's people, whom he just delivered from 400 years of slavery, dancing and prancing around an idol god, Moses throws down the tablets. They break into pieces. The tablets which God, with his finger, wrote the 10 commandments. And this brings us to chapter 33, where Moses reconvenes with God and seeks God's forgiveness for the people. God tells Moses, continue to lead them to the promised land. He said, I'm going to send an angel to go before you to drive out the enemy nations. But God said, I'm not going with you because they are a stiff-necked people. And I might destroy them while they are on their way. You know, we got to be careful. Amen. We got to be careful how we treat God. How we act while God has us on our journey. Because God is a jealous God. And God will, come on here, God will punish his people.
Yes, he will.
In this morning's text, Moses has entered the tabernacle to talk with God about the people. In verse 12, Moses says to the Lord, you've been telling me to lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Aaron done messed up. Listening to the people and fashioning a god out of some gold. You have said, I know you by name, and I have favor with you. But if you are pleased with me, God, teach me your way, so I may know you and continue and continue and continue to find favor with you. Remember, this nation is your people. Now, I know somebody's wondering, where is the preacher going with this? If you want God to know your name, you got to continue walking with God. That you might know him. And continue to find favor with him. You got to walk with him in the good times and in the bad times. You got to walk with him when you can't see where you're going. When you can't figure out what God is doing. You got to continue walking with him when the people you are walking with fall short and turn around. You got to continue walking with God, even if you find yourself walking all by yourself. Moses had been walking with God for some 80 years and did not have a clue that God was grooming him to be the great deliverer and the great lawgiver. Walked with him into the palace of his enemy with only his brother by his side and a stick in his hand. Moses walked with him when the river was in front of him and the army was behind him and there was no way to get to the other side. Moses walked with him when the people he delivered turned their backs on him and God and served a golden calf, an idol God. An idol God that had idle eyes that could not see. Idle ears that could not hear. Idle hands that could not hold them. And idle arms that could not embrace them.
Jesus.
In the midst of all of this, Moses kept walking with God. And not only did he keep walking with God, he recognized that even after walking with him for 80 years, he still did not know enough about God and about God's ways. Thank you, Moses. For it amazes me to think that some of us, because we come to church most Sundays, I didn't say every Sunday, because we come to church most Sundays, watch a sermon on the internet, that we have all that we need to know about our God and his will for our lives. Because we sing on the choir, or serve on a board, or the member of the Do Nothing ministry, we know all that we need to know about our God. Come on, because our name's on the church roll, and everybody in the church knows your name. That God is pleased with you, and he knows your name. But Moses informs us that that is not enough. After all that Moses experienced with God, Moses says to God in verse 12, you have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. But if you are pleased with me, God, teach me your ways, so that I might know you and continue to find favor with you.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
Moses teaches us that it's not a one and done deal. Amen. You got to continue to run after God. Continue to seek God. Continue to ask God to reveal more and more of himself to you. And then you need to position yourself to learn more about God. You need to study his word and not just read his word. For the more you study his word, the better you understand what God desires of you. The more you study his word, the better prepared you are to do what God is calling you to do. The more you study the word of God, the sooner you come to understand that you don't understand what you think you understand. And God really wants more from you. Moses had the humility to tell God that I need more of your glory. I need more of your teaching. I need more of your understanding. I need more of thee and less of me, that I might know you and continue to find favor with you. I can't rest on yesterday. I need more of you today. I can't find solace in what used to be and what I used to do. I've got to do something for you right here and right now. I need a little more Jesus. That I might be able to do what you're calling me to do. And because of Moses' humility, God responds in verse 14 and 17. He says, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. And in verse 17, the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing that you have asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name. God says, I'm pleased with you, Moses, and I'm going to do what you asked of me, because you are continuing to do what I am asking of you, because you are obedient, because you are faithful, because you have endeavored to do what I've asked you to do. You don't have to worry. I'm going to go with you. I'm pleased with you, Moses, and I know you by name. How many of us are developing a walk with God? Come on, an ongoing walk with God. So much so that you feel confident enough to walk into Pharaoh's palace, to walk in the White House, to walk in the halls of Congress, to walk in the mayor's office and tell old Pharaoh what thus saith the Lord. Come on. How many of us are willing to do that because we know that God knows our name? How many of us are unafraid to march up the streets of this city and demand adequate housing for the poor and universal health care for the underprivileged, and do it unafraid because you know that God is pleased with you and he knows you by name?
Yes.
Who among us
Jesus.
is willing to work in God's vineyard, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to visit the sick without man's recognition, without your name being printed on the program, willing to do it because it pleases God and God knows your name?
Yes.
Jesus.
The praises of men have its place.
That's right. That's right.
Grammy Awards, SAG Awards, Emmys, and MVP Awards. These honors are wonderful. But there is no greater reward, no greater honor
Yes.
than to know that God knows your name.
Amen.
When you have labored in the vineyard, when your hands have followed your heart, when you have rendered service to God's people, when you make a difference in people's lives,
Yes. Yes.
you can rest assured that God knows your name. And when the time comes for us to stand before the judgment bar and give an account of our service,
Yes.
it's my hope that our names will be found in the Lamb's Book of Life.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll hear our Master say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Come on up in here. I know your name.
Yes.
And it's for this reason
Yes. Yes.
that I have every confidence that when Kobe's plane hit the side of that mountain and the souls of the 9 persons aboard separated from their earthly bodies, there was no greater joy than to hear the voice of Jesus say, Sarah and Peyton Jester,
Jesus.
John, Carrie, and Alyssa Artabelli,
Jesus.
Arizobian, Christina Mauser, Kobe, and Gigi. I got you.
Yes.
I know your name.
My God.
Enter into my rest,
Jesus.
where Job declared the wicked would cease from trouble,
Jesus.
and your weary soul
Yes, God.
would be at rest.
Yes.
Does he know your name? If you're not sure, then make it your business to walk with God.
Yes. Yes.
Walk with him and ask God to teach me that I might know you a little better,
Yes.
and that I might continue to have favor with you. I can't make it in on mama's testimony.
Right.
I can't make it in on daddy's reputation.
Right.
I got to know you
For
for
myself.
myself.
Yes.
More of thee, Lord,
Jesus.
and less of me. Feed me
Yes.
that you might know my name.
Yes.
Amen.
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 Amen. The doors of the church are open. Actually, I don't see anybody here that's not a member of the church. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. But let us stand on our feet. Oh, yes, I do. Amen. The doors of the church are open. Amen. There's anybody here today, Georgia? There's anybody here today, Georgia? There's anybody here today, Georgia, without a church home? We invite you to come. Put your name on the church roll, that you might be put on the heavenly roll. that he might know your name
Amen.
when the time comes to give an account of our service. Is there one this morning? Don't let it be said too late.